Okay, so the Daily Beast touched on Danny Boy. Once I talked about him, people were just kind of like, I'm pretty sure that most people don't even know who the hell he is. So there wasn't like this slew of people like on it. And the Justin Bieber era is kind of like faded out a little bit, like that whole time period. So even if you mention him, it's not going to cause like this big old like, oh my god. Yeah. So I posted the video. Now, one of the things that happens when I do these is I get an idea also on how bad the parties are. Because their team, their other whatever they are, will come to my channel and start attacking me, and I can tell like which groups are worse, and it's always shocking to me. Like I'll have this thing in my mind, like I think like Peter Nygard is probably the worst guy, but I haven't got a lot of negative comments like directly like saying we protect Peter, anything like that. The party who's actually had the worst has been Aubrey de Grey because of his cult. So his cult people. So I just had a recent comment to the I don't know, 2 days ago or something. And this guy's just psychotic. Like I go through their stuff, right? And there was actually two scientists guys and they were talking trash. I just delete it because it's not like I can't take it or something. It's because in the comment section, I want like people to feel safe in the comment section and not feel like they can't speak because YouTube is literally not women friendly at all. And what'll happen is these people then will see it and then it sort of like eggs them on to, oh, we're going to go trash them. And then they'll start trashing the people in my comment section. And some girls do that too. Even the other day on the other story, which I wasn't even talking about the shooting thing per se. But they just want to, they're new, like they just want to start stuff. Like they don't follow me. They don't know my sarcastic humor or anything like that. Just making stuff up. They just want to start stuff. And they want to mad pile on women all the time. Like that's pretty much the whole platform of YouTube. But I'm just not going to allow it here. And I finally had to go finally report somebody because these people, now I don't know who they are. It started, I don't know, the last couple of years. And they were doing it off of the Corey stories. But some of it's questionable. Like, I don't know if it's directly from them or not. But if it is, they literally need to be locked up for life in a mental ward. They keep, like, making comments to me directly, but then deleting the comments just so I can see it and nobody else can. And then I don't know if they're getting banned or what's going on, but they have millions of accounts. Like, it's not even funny. And they'll just say, like, these comments where it's, like, not enough where I know that YouTube would even remove them. But they just say these really gnarly, nasty things to me directly. And then they'll go get another account. And it's the same people. Most of them are women, I can tell. But there's some guys in here, and some of them are scary as hell. So I was like, yeah, we're going to start reporting it, even if they don't do anything, because I want a record in case something happens. Because there's a bunch of them, and they kind of pop in, I don't know, just randomly one day, and then they do that. I mean, it's not stopping me from doing anything, but it shouldn't be going on. I think it's pretty psychotic. But here, the other day, I got blocked by Peter Nygard's team. I was like, so I looked at it. I'm like, that's a win, dude. What? Wait, they're retreating from me because I started finding out who the people were. Right? They were running it. At least the people involved, and they're a bunch of women, bunch of damn women, a bunch of them. And then there's some people from Canada. There was a guy, one of the defenders on there. I don't think he's running it, but he's one of them that was following it. And there's a whole bunch of people I can go down on their background of why they're following him. The account isn't him. The account is some women defending him and targeting the victims. But it's not like if I was the victim here, I'd be really pissed. But the stuff that they're saying actually is not helping him at all. And they're actually outing people in it. Like, there's this guy, right? And I forgot his name right now. Anyway, he was part of the Beverly Hilton thing, and he was hanging out with Peter, and he's like talking on the video, and he's like, oh yeah, we've had 400 party. I held 400 parties for him. And like, and this is before he got busted or anything like that. So he's bragging about how he had 400 parties. I mean, imagine this. Like, there's not enough time in the. How do you have 400 parties? Anyway, must have been over a span of 40 years. Anyway, and that's just their parties. So then, there's they did this whole thing on Instagram. Like, this person, these women, these bunch of women, oh my god, they were saying he's hot, all sorts of things. These women are nuts. So they did these like Instagram videos, right? They're doing all the clips of him, like things he said, and then they post, like, I think it's that same guy, and they're like, yeah, he said really great things about Peter, and so, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, that guy is probably right now going, oh dear God, don't even mention me. Because think about it. Because Peter's like totally in prison right now. Like, he's all locked up. I'm like, he's all locked up. And, all this stuff. And these people are putting stuff like going, look, he said this. And they're really good friends. And yada, yada, yada. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? That's really not helping those guys. And I'm laughing, over here. So they're doing that, and then they're saying certain people met him and thought he was great, but then there's newer comments from those people that were saying it was disgusting, like a whole thing on him, right? So I'm like, yeah, well, that's not helping him out any. And so then they're not very bright. These women, and they're older too. They're older than me. The women are like in their, I don't know, I'd say late 50s, 60s onward. And the guys are men from the Bahamas, right? So obviously he had some, I don't know, friendship, or knew him, or they were just people that looked up to him, because there was a lot of people in the Bahamas that were, told, be successful like him, and you should look up to him, and you too can own half an island and take over the world, type of bullshit. So some of these people, if they're not people that know him personally, they're people that are like fanboys, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But these women, I just think this is amazing. These women that are running these things are throwing videos up. So this group did do the video thing. So I'm just putting that out there so you can look at all this together. So I told you, I started finding these clips on YouTube, and I think I linked one of them, but what they do is they take clips of, I don't know, media stories on them, and then they'll put their own opinion on it. So you don't know directly who's doing it, but they'll use a name on YouTube. It'll be like a female name. Typically, they've been using female names, and there is females running these accounts. And so I pointed it out the other day, and I figured, well, they're going to keep posting it and everything. I mean, I wasn't like bothering them or anything. I'm just like talking about them. Actually, I'm talking about them to myself, like, on my stuff. But I was pointing out the account, and then I pulled it up again, and then they blocked me, and I'm like, well, wait, aren't you on this defense thing? Because aren't you trying to convince us all that he's totally being railroaded? You know what I mean? Like, it's not a thing where I'm making personal threats to them, or, no, nothing like that. It's like, I know who's doing it, because they have a Facebook too, and there's some women, and they're chit-chatting back and forth, and they're going, oh my god, you're so hot, and, I can't say for sure the name of the person who's actually posting this stuff, but when I look deeper into it, it looks like they actually paid for a social media thing to get them followers and get other people. Because I'm like, number one, I'm pretty sure he's not a Muslim. This was another thing that was so weird about it. So they were following these women. There was only like a handful of women they were following. So they were following one of the ones that I seen on Facebook. So obviously, yeah, don't out yourself too easily there. So then the other ones, though, they're like these bunk accounts, like in Egypt and in Mexico and in freaking, where was the other place? Saudi Arabia. uh, all these other places, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that is not. And well, number one, I know it's not him, and I'm like, can't they get uh, banned for impersonation because they're saying that they are him? And I'm like, well, he's a little tied up right now, so we know for sure it's not him, and it's not a verified account to be running around saying that you are him. It's not a parody account. You're literally trying to put yourself out there like you are him. Yeah, I don't know. And then they were, and this is another weird thing that they did. So, and I'm pretty sure that they paid for some service as like those, get me follower bullshit. Because he ended up having 100K followers. I'm like, dude, that dude doesn't even get 100K views on the photos with him and celebrities. So why that? No. So, and his channel doesn't have that many people either. And so then, they, what did they do? What did they do? So then they're running. Oh, I know what they did. So then they put in the tags, what they're trying to get people in to read all this stuff is Trump supporters. And I'm like, huh? Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the wrong crowd. And there was a guy on, now they own, let me tell you, they got a whole bunch of accounts that are named Peter Nygard, just different variations like Nygard and Peter and the whatever. And I'm assuming probably, when one goes down, they got another. But they use these two accounts, and one of the accounts is linked to some wrestling, not wrestling, weightlifting dude in Canada who looks like a total jackass, and he might be MAGA, like he's not even from America, but he could be, like, I don't know. But I'm like, why are you putting Trump supporters? Like, they haven't even really put these guys together like that. But then what I saw was that they were defending the female in the Jeffrey Epstein case. I'm like, okay, that, and see, now we went to Crazyville. Yeah, Maxwell. We'll just call her Maxwell. Anyway, yeah, there's a page that's allegedly from their family where they're defending her and just making up such garbage. Anyway, these people are on the side of her being innocent and defending her. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I seen their pictures, dude. I went through all their stuff just so I know who they are and why they're probably doing that. So no, I mean they're like Karen fangirls. I mean, now they may have had a situation with him because one of the females in this said that she had actually gone to his place in the Bahamas, and then she's like, I want to return again, like some nonsense like that. I'm like, he can't even return. Like, we're this whole thing. I've been really on Danny. The one thing they didn't mention in here is his little cop friends, but he there's a lot of stuff with this guy, and he also owned, like, I'm pretty sure it was these two different properties or something around right by Peter's place. And let me go through it, and then I'll get into this part of this girl I was talking about. I don't know if she's involved in this at all. I was looking. Oh my god! I was like, why did I look at this last night? Anytime I look at this girl, um, she has mental illness. Okay, she used to work with us, and she's really nice, really nice. Like, I don't have anything bad to say as far as like being a human being, like that. But she's off kilter, very off kilter. Like, she thinks things are giving her messages through the TV and all this stuff. And I realized this one day, it was kind of like we were talking. She's an interesting person to talk to. And I just asked her questions, and she was going on and on and on. And I completely forgot about this whole other thing with her where she was talking about Oliver Stone. And I was like, I don't know if she said she knew him, that they talked a lot, or she went on stories. And so half the time I was probably like, I don't know if they're true or not. I don't know, because one day she was watching TV, and she's like, the devil was talking to me through that, like in some other weird way. And I was like, what? So she said something like that, and I was like, okay, I don't really understand that. So, but then she would constantly talk about doing this job, like taxi driving people, and then so her main money wasn't her job. Like she would take off and do these taxi things, and it almost seemed like that wasn't even real. Like you'd have to understand this girl to be like, I don't need, do you even have a home? Like I don't know, like do you live somewhere? Um, and her number one thing was she wanted to be an actress and do anything in the movies, like anything. Like you could just give her a bit part, she will be happy, happy, happy. But there's a very dark side to her, where she's a stalker, and like she's a stalker and she wants to stalk a certain celebrity. And I remember her. I think I remember her mentioning this celebrity, like, oh, I don't know. She probably mentioned him saying he's hot or some bullshit. But it wasn't until one day I went home and I don't know, she was talking about her websites or something, and I actually went and looked, and I was like, holy smoke, what the hell is this? Like, it's a world that you have never ever experienced, and you probably never will again. But she has created this online maze of information that leads you into places that you don't expect, and it's all her. Like it's all her. It's the weirdest thing ever. I'd assume that she was schizophrenic. I mean, she may be, but I'm starting to think like maybe it's something else, and it just like kind of may seem like that. Because when I was looking at some stuff yesterday, I noticed that she actually met these people. Like there's photos of it, so it's not like made up. Like she didn't meet him or something. And but we don't know how she did that. Like she could have forced herself in that situation, right? Because she is very eager to get in the industry like anybody else. And um but one that kind of was seemed weird to me is that she kept talking about Oliver Stone and like going to something with Oliver Stone, and so then this picture she puts up uh is from 2010, and she was talking about this. Gosh, I mean, I was trying to think of the year when this started because I was at that job for a short time, and then I went somewhere else, and then I came back like in 2006, I think it was. So it's either like 2003 or 2006. But anyway, in between this period right here, she was talking about him. And I wasn't even thinking like that guy would even do something to her. Now, I don't know if he did. I'm just saying it didn't even cross my mind like, oh, she's putting herself out there so much in the most desperate way that one of these idiots may do something, may promise her something, then didn't do something for her, and she is mentally ill, that she may not say, like the way she processes information is so whack. So I don't know what's going on there. And they had those parties at that job too, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know, I don't know. And so there were some comments made from Danny's team, or Team Danny, we should say, that mimic some comments that she has made online. So what I did, I now it doesn't mean it's her. I was just directly searching because I hadn't seen a damn thing on anybody going after Danny's victims. Okay, so I don't like being out of the loop. I was like, I want to see where and what that is. He's claiming he's not the one that sent it. Now it could be true that he's not the one that did it because, like I'm saying to you guys right now, is that on Team Nygard and on Team Aubrey, there's actually a tank of other people doing this stuff. And the specific comments, though, from the Danny side literally came from somebody like her. That's why I was like, I mean, I straight up searched for the term used, and the first person that popped up was her. And because she used that same comment to somebody else, like she constantly thinks, like she has this, I don't know what's going on in her head. It's like that's a different person than the person. I'm not gonna say completely different person from who I met, but the stuff she's saying is very vindictive, and I never heard that Like, that's a whole different thing. So she was calling some other girl this same term, and she will start bringing up Satan, God, the whole shebang thing of that, and, drugs. Like, these three things, that's what she does. And I was like, dude, I could totally see her getting sucked into this. I totally, like, totally. I don't know if it's her doing it. It just could be, some other girl with some similar, you know? I think that's weird that Danny would be saying those things. The victims would. I don't know why they would be going devil. We'll get into it. This is a very long, long, long one, so I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to get into this as quickly as possible. We're already like 20 minutes in. Okay, so Danny Hollywood Holmes. So now the focus is on him. Now I don't know if Daily Beast did one on Nygard. I would have to look on that. They do really well. They're the ones that did the Paul Flores thing, talking to the victims of that. I haven't run across anything bad from Daily Beast. That's why it was so trippy the other day. The last, whenever that Rust thing was, when they were attacking Daily Beast. I was like, they've been the most reputable on here. I was like, I haven't had any thing with them. Anyway, it says Playboy real estate developer Danny may have been able to evade aggrieved neighbors and dozens of complaints made against his Los Angeles party mansion. This guy has had a tank of properties. Like, I actually went through some of this stuff. It doesn't make much sense considering what his parents did, and there's a world of crap here that probably consists of beyond human trafficking, probably drug dealing, probably something shady as hell, and nobody cares. I mean, this is how government does it. They don't think it's odd for some guy to, mostly white, okay, in this country right now, to just randomly come up with millions of dollars. It's like, whatever, that's typical. We expect that from men. But if I were to do this and I randomly got a whole tank of money, government would totally be on my ass. Like, how did you get it? Where did you get it? Like, this is just how it is. Because it's not typical for women to have money, right? So his stuff looks very shady to me, and I question this all the time. And it's so funny the backlash I get from wondering, how did you obtain your money? Because I know what I have done in life, and I know that it's not possible to come up with this in these certain ways, right? And they constantly try to brush it off like stocks. I'm like, dude, no, this isn't it. There's all this stuff going on. So this guy, obviously, so there was these parties, and so he's charging for these parties. This is in the 80s, in the 1980s. He's charging for these parties. There was no age nothing on the paper. I showed you guys that. And he's familiar to me, and I don't know if it's because I've mentioned a whole bunch of things here. So if you guys remember, Bud Bundy used to hang out and he have his parties down on Sunset. And these guys would come out. And so we're talking about the 90s. You know, if you used to go to an area and you recognize faces, but you don't know who they are. It's just you go there all the time. You're like, oh, I've seen that guy around. You don't know who he is. But you just pass by and you're like, oh, I've seen him before. But you're not thinking about it. So it's kind of a situation like that I was thinking of. I was like, yeah, because the only people that I knew like right away were the celebrities, right? It's like, you know who Bud Bundy is, right? So then I'm sure there was a tank of celebrities I didn't even know, because I'm not into like half the stuff out, Oh, I'm not into all this stuff. So then, so also there was these drug rings, right, with the Michael Jackson people, those other people. So there's all this stuff going on, and that was really, like, if you're out there, that was kind of the combo mix of things. And so I'm having this memory, and I'm like, where the hell is it? I'm like, it must be on Sunset. It must be over there. And sure enough, and he's talking, he's like, yeah, I had my parties over over the hill. So, like, it was not uncommon for people to come on over here and party down the way, and then they may go somewhere else. So he's that guy. So I'm trying to figure it out. It'll come to me one day, maybe. I'm like somewhere. Like I don't have any memory like of the job thing of him. Peter's the only one that I'm like, this other thing of it. But it's possible. Like we're just trying to put it together. It's really hard for me to figure because also on the other clip I forgot to mention that there was actually even more connections from the family friend, right? Who was friends with or at least knew because he did the movie thing with one of Peter's friend, the ones that are being photographed with him. And I'm like, yeah, so there's another connection. The other connection was at the school with the people there. And then the third connection was the workplace, right? Those people that were coming into the workplace. And and not the other bad job. Now it could be connected to that too. Like I'm not 100% sure. It seems that everything's connected to each other because it's like these are the guys. You have to imagine this. So this guy's like, I just want to party with a bunch of girls. I'm gonna go into strip clubs. I'm gonna go into these other clubs. I'm gonna go over into these other clubs. We're gonna go to the dance clubs. We're gonna, you know what I mean? So they're doing all these, different type of things that have women there. We'll just say it doesn't matter what type of the job is. They probably go hang out at Hooters too, and sexually harass the girls there. But some type of thing like that, and then so you could be working there, and you might go, oh, I remember one time, like, these two idiots, like, you might have these memories. That's why I'm like, it's really hard to have those memories, though, unless they did something really bad or you spent a little bit longer time with them and chatted it up. But anyway, it says, but according to an injunction issued by a federal judge last week, he cannot avoid the 10 women and counting who have accused him of sex trafficking. Now, see, this is only Danny. Danny's being accused of sex trafficking, and YouTube is the one that has all the sex traffickers on its site. And I'm like, I find this really interesting. So they went after Backpage very heavily for them not cutting them out, right? Like, you're supposed to know that these guys are human trafficking, right? You didn't know. You didn't know at all, right? If there was any case of that, the way that was set up. Here, we do know that they are because they have victims coming out. And the one guy is in custody, and they still let them on the websites. And I'm sitting here going, so you're letting them prey on new girls. Because Danny has a whole bunch of new girls right now. And I'm like, these girls are just bitch ass. Okay? Because I'm like, you literally know what's going on, and then you're just ignoring it. Like, I cannot imagine this mindset because it's like, if the guy, his friends all arrested, they're in the media getting sued for human trafficking and rape, I would not be there with him. So that's a choice that you're looking at going, F those women, blah, blah, blah. The men, and now the men in here who need to be just as reamed for it, we know that you're involved with all that. So that's the other portion to this too. So he has a whole tank of guy friends, and most of them are these like little poppy wannabe rappers. And then one of his neighbors, he has like the no, he doesn't have a bacon neighbor. He has another like Peter Nygard neighbor that when they go over, like they do the same thing. Like they're the same universe. They're just different idiots, and they're doing the same abuses to women. So he brings his dad over. He was going on the story about that too, and I'm like, I'm horrified, dude. I went on, gross. Like, who hangs out with these guys? No. So anyway, and these would be the guys that hate me because I'm like, I just don't like you. So then it says Fitzgerald, also known as Danny Hollywood Holmes, to his 151K Instagram followers, is one of the most notorious real estate developers in Los Angeles. The only reason why that dude probably has 151 is just from him mentioning Justin Bieber. Like, I don't know, probably just from mentioning that. Like, there's literally, or he's doing what the other people do and paying for some followers. I can go through his stuff. I could tell because there are all these weird people from Saudi Arabia. I was like, so anyway, it says one of the most notorious real estate developers in Los Angeles. His Hollywood Hills home have been rented out to the likes of Justin Bieber, Nelly, and The Weeknd, and serve as one of TikTok's original hype houses. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the level of guys right here, the shitty fucking guys right here. Um, Now, I'm not totally giving Justin Bieber a pass, but literally, like, these people, the whole crowd of them, like, literally came in like leeches or, like, like right onto Justin because he's all young and stuff and he's a, moneymaker. And he's down a bad path because everybody's a misogynist raping pig. And so he's getting involved in drugs and whatever bullshit he was doing and just being a sociopath. But then look at the guys though. Look at the adults. Like this is my thing with it. The adults around him are the worst people ever. The one guy was raping girls from his church and cheating on his wife doing it. Like he cheated on his wife to rape some women. Like it's like, yeah, he's gonna come out totally fucked. It's like there's this like whole series of things that's occurring here in the universe that this is that they've made excuses for this forever, going, they just get caught up with all that money. It's like, no, no, no. There's literally an explanation for this. Literally, these shit men right here. I was like, there's an explanation. So then, and it's everybody that, like, if you meet them in real life, like, you're like, we're gonna avoid them. Hell no. But there's other people that are like, we'll do anything to mingle and network, and this guy is flaunting money and promising this, and so they go. I'd be like, where's all the young guys, dude? We're not this guy. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be this, but it was gross. So they're just playing it up. They're like, we're gonna become famous YouTubers and TikTokers, because of this guy. Are they really becoming famous YouTubers because of this guy? I can't answer that. I'm like, I can tell that there's some bullshit going on though, such as finances. There's been a whole thing here, and YouTube's actually been catering to this group of people. So I mean, on that aspect, yeah. But could I name who these people are? Hell no. They pop in one day with like 100,000 followers. I'm like, how are you doing that? So there's some stuff going on. Um, and they're trying to act like it's you, and I'm like, no, no, there's like literally shit going on. I could tell there's shit going on, and the fact that media hasn't even talked about these guys shows you that shit is going on. Now, Daily Beast isn't really one that I'm like, well, they're not blackout material. Like, I don't look at them and they go, oh, well, we can't talk about him. They usually do. Maybe it just took them a long time to go into this. But this other thing sounds kind of recent where he got in trouble. So it says he also happened to be close friends with Peter Nygard, the disgraced Canadian fashion executive who was indicted last year for running a sex trafficking ring. I mean, nobody else has been arrested for it, and Danny's getting sued for it, so why isn't he arrested for it? And then why wasn't Aubrey, like, arrested for his, like, trying to start up one thing? And he's the most dangerous. Like, I am telling you, like, even though Peter and his whole burn down thing, which I gotta bring that story up later, this guy is dangerous because, Aubrey, because his base thinks that he is God and that he's going to save them from death, and that his science mind is like a golden calf. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you guys. Like, they see him as Jesus Christ, and the fact that the women reported him and he lost his job, they see this as the most horrific thing ever, and now we hate women, and they murdered all these people. This guy literally said that these selfish women murdered all these people. And I'm like, okay, see, you're dangerous, because now you're going to be operating out of the mindset that you think these women killed all these people. No. No. See, that there is so effed up. And those are the messages that I'm getting. I don't know how the victims are getting it, but oh my God. Oh my God, they're bad. And so then A DOJ indictment claims Nygard maintained a harem of women, some of them underage, at his various international properties and coerced them into sexual activities through threats, false promises, and modeling opportunities, financial support, and physical isolation. Nygard has denied any wrongdoing. Heck, probably should have got arrested. I was like, every time I think about all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, what's different? Because they're the ones modeling after Hef. Are they not? Because they've said that, and he said that I forgot what they were talking about. He befriended him, and then they started calling him the Canadian Hef or something like that. So he basically did the same thing. I don't know if there's any difference with Hef, where Hef promising jobs. And he seemed to always have given him. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm missing some story where he didn't. But these guys are promising that and then not doing it either, right? And then they're having them move into their house and then giving them allowances, right? So these actions are part of that whole thing. And just think that they did this whole show and all these things, and it's just, oh, it's normal, you guys. I was like, there's a whole bad thing to this. It's just the framing. It's the wording and the framing that has made it where people go, oh, it's okay. The framing, it's just this watered down, like, oh, we're taking care of you and we're giving them some money. They can't leave, though. They can't leave after 9. Some bullshit. We're gonna lock them in the house, and because whatever. And there were stories of sexual abuse conduct. Yeah. So honestly, I think if Hef was young enough, and still alive, this probably would not be his time anymore. The truth to this, when you're starting to go through this, it's like, why did he get away with it? Well, government looked at this right here. So if you think about that, that was the most acceptable thing to even the I'm like the stiffest conservative, that was okay. So to them, this is okay. And that's why when you go through the photos of them, these people there's a lot of conservative men here. Very conservative. I mean, you're talking Bush, you're talking Angelina's dad. But there's quite a mix. Like, it isn't like, oh, just them. Like, I'm probably mostly conservative. Politics plays a part in, like, what they deem is okay and what's not okay. So anything where like on conservatives, that they could degrade women and control them, that's okay. But if women want to go off on their own, let's just say some woman wanted to do her own, like, magazine like Hef, oh my god, government would be there to shut that down. Okay, they accused him, Fitzgerald, of participating in Nygard's trafficking ring and running one of his own. And on Thursday, a U.S. District Court issued an injunction barring the developer from coming within 100 feet of the women who claim he tried to silence him in the months since they filed the suit by publishing derogatory YouTube videos and distributing flyers about them. One woman even claimed he made threatening comments to her family. Okay, I want to stop here for a second. Do you guys remember that literally no American media, that through Google search, could you find this lawsuit story? I found it because it was I believe it was in Canada. It was so odd. And I'm like, okay, the media is literally on a blackout on this guy, and I don't understand why. And so obviously he owns a lot of people. Danny Fitzgerald. Let me see if I can even find it. I did my story on it, and I put the links. It's just for me right now in my brain. I'm like, where the hell is it? Yeah. So who reported it? It was CBC. Canada. No American media. And isn't that odd? It was filed in California, right? Let me pull it up again. Yeah, April 29th. And then, yeah, they filed it April 29th. And then I did a story on it, right? There was no other media that is showing up here on Google. It is not. So if you're a media person and you did this story, let's say on ABC or something, it shows that nobody else did it. And that's fishy as fuck because it was, oh, that's what I was looking for, where it was filed. It was filed, it just says filed in California court on November 2020. I just want you guys to know that there is literally some orchestrated thing here from the media. I told you they have been protecting certain guys. One of the guys on my stuff, they have been protecting Peter. They're definitely protecting Danny, because I'm sitting there like, well, number one, I don't even know who the fuck Danny is. You know, we're going through it, and it's just like, he's not like a celebrity. I mean, he's trying to be like one. But he's not like a guy, like, if you just randomly mentioned his name to like a random person, like they would even know who the hell he is. So people really operate on that. It's like, I have no idea. You're not relevant. Like, I don't know who you are. And why would I care who you are? You just own houses, and celebrities like to, you know, rape some women in them. So it's kind of like they don't pay attention to that. And so it wasn't a story where, you know, when you're also talking about algorithm and things like that, like if I title it, like they're titling it purposely like this too. They're saying Peter Nygard's pal, because nobody knows who the hell Danny Fitzgerald is. And so if they're searching for Peter, they'll find the story, right? But if they search for Danny, like, why would they search for Danny? Like, who would be searching for Danny? You know, because they're aware of the Peter thing. They may not be, but that would be the most known name in this whole thing. So, like how they use that and how they title things and everything, there's a purpose. The way that they word these things. So the way that I worded it on there, I don't remember what I said, but no matter what I said about it, the only thing that would get people maybe to click on it is saying Justin Bieber's friend or something like that. Then they'd be like, who? You know, it'd be only the people that are looking for Justin Bieber. And so then they would have no idea who the hell Danny is. I was like, they just wouldn't. And the Aubrey thing was like, I'm like, nobody knows who this motherfucker is. And then sure enough, I was actually wrong. And a million people did. And this whole cult came at me, and I was like, okay, that I did not perceive. That one right there. So that's an ongoing thing. Like, they keep posting stuff. I'm like, you keep doing it, and I'm going to keep showing what you guys are saying. I'm going to remove you, but I'm going to also show what you guys are saying. So they, yeah. So no, it's actually the complete opposite of what's going on. Like, I'm not getting attacked by the Nygard people. The Danny people, nobody even knows who the fuck they are. But the Aubrey people are the million times worse. So then they go, on Thursday, 100 feet from women. Okay, our client exhibited incredible strength. A lawyer said he has nothing to do with the videos or flyers. He says the plaintiffs were attempting to muddy the waters by tying his client to Nygard, and said that the developer is not connected to Nygard. He has nothing to do with what he's being accused of, and he's his own person. No? So we have videos of him at a million parties with them where he's like hanging out with them. Also at the private parties where these things actually occurred, but also out here in the Beverly Hilton where he's going on about oh, you know, thank God, you know, my bestie is gonna have me living forever. Yeah, that bullshit. So then so what does he want to what does he want to say here? So he's not gonna drag in Peter to his human trafficking ring. So what's gonna happen here then is Danny's running his own ring. He's not being forced to do anything. He's doing it on his own, and he's doing it on his own accord, right? He's not being blackmailed into raping some women. He is his own person. So this is his defense. That's fine. You want to be your own human trafficking ring? Then you are. And that's exactly how I explain this to you guys. I go, you guys don't understand. I go, I don't really want to call it a ring per se. It's like they're their own universe, and then they just mingle, right? Because they all have a lifestyle that they agree with. It's like going to church. You're all your church people. Are you guys in a ring? You guys, they have similar beliefs, and then they all do certain things to their wives or whatever at home, right? Bad things, I'm sure. So they just all do the same thing, and then they can sit there and talk with each other, and they're all totally down with it. I rape my wife when she's asleep sometimes. That's cool. I do too. You know, whatever bullshit that they do. And so, but they're not in a, like a ring where they're, like, forcing, you know, like, doing this other thing. I don't know. It's just not explained properly, and it starts to get explained properly here. And I was like, thank you, because that's what I was kind of really, really trying to explain here about these guys. And he's not the only one. That's what I was saying. There's thousands of them. And the fact that I'm telling you guys there's thousands of them, I mean, it's probably blowing some people's mind because they're acting like they've never been outside before. This is a culture. So these men think this way. And this is something to obtain. This is like literally a goal that they want to obtain in life. And this is the highest standard of being the greatest men that every man envies. So that's why that's occurring. But it's odd to me that people kind of pull it out like these one guy here and there, and they're like, "Oh, shocking!" I'm like, dude, that's every fucking asshole out here. What are you talking about? So, and they're all friends. Like they're like maybe not good friends, but they're friends in the sense that they can go and talk to each other and be like, "Oh, you got money? You want to do some business deals? We're gonna, do this and that and this and that. Oh, you want to come over to a party? Sure, we'll come over to the party. We're gonna rape some girls. Okay, cool. Bye. See you. May not see each other again for 20 years. I mean, that's kind of like their universe here. Fitzgerald, who was born like they don't even ask. They're not like, are you into human trafficking? Are you into raping some women? No, of course they are. You don't even have to ask a guy that. You just go, oh, here I got my young little 20-year-olds here, or 12, whatever they are, at these things. They don't even care. They literally don't care. I can tell you right now, they don't care. And then they go, who was born 30 minutes north of Los Angeles? Okay, here's the background on him, which makes no sense. His dad was a beer salesman. I'm pretty sure, what did that bring in millions or something? Like, I can't imagine this. Mostly, 70 years ago, or however old he is. And his poor mother was a waitress. A barbecue pit waitress. That girl got her ass pinched and sexually harassed to hell. She ain't making a tank of money. So how did this whole other thing come about? Where this white loser guy, his fucking beer dad, and their barbecue pit waitress mom, all of a sudden he acquires millions and millions of dollars. He's already living in Encino and all sorts of shit. And, these mansion, like all this stuff's going on. I'm like, dude, this dude is doing some illegal shit, dude. Because I was like, don't even tell me anything different. So this is the reporter is best known for a complex of houses he owns in Hollywood Hills that measure. I know, nobody even cares how he got it. Like, they tell the first portion, it's like, I don't know, drug deals. That he looks like a drug dealer. Like, he looks like the drug dealers from back in, like, 1990. I was like, totally, that were out here. And he's actually very open of his drug usage. That was another thing. So I was like, oh my god. Did any girls like die under him? Like, did any weird thing happen? Like that Buck story? Did any of that? Because it should have already happened. Like, just the way that this guy is. The complex, which contains a nightclub, a hot tub with 70 jets, and the word Hollywood spelled out in the title of the pool, which is totally all over YouTube, right? You guys seen all that. Has hosted parties for everyone from and see, and YouTube's gonna cater to this. Anyway, I'm tripping all over the place. To Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark from Facebook, who targeted me 10 years ago. I was like, you know what? This is great because you're a jackass, and you guys did that, so your karma's gonna come right back on you. I don't know why they did it, but that happened. And so I warned you guys. I go, Facebook is bad. You're going to be seeing some bad things. And sure enough, now all this crap is going on. I was like, you could have stopped it 10 years ago, but you don't listen to women. So anyway, he was at parties with, I don't know, he rented the party. I don't know what he did. We just know that he went there and celebrated his birthday party. So Danny likes to show up and go scoop out all the girls at the parties. So I'm sure there's some shit that went down there. We all know that Mark ain't no fucking saint. So he probably up in here raping girls too. So it says and served as the local for multiple TV shows and porn shoots, right? So it says it also racked up more than 90 calls to police from the neighbors were so mad, dude. Not the one that he partied with, but the neighbors around there were so mad, and he was telling them to F you, like doing the whole Peter thing, right? Like, I'm surprised they didn't burn each other's house down, but it's all who reportedly referred to the complex as the abortion on the hill. City attorneys and buildings and safety division sent him notices in the summer of 2015. But did you guys not notice that he was hanging out with the Hollywood police, the division? He went in there, took a photo with them. Look, my buddies. Yeah. Which are involved. Those are the ones that held me here as a child. Seeing that is just beyond words. Okay, so I know what's going on here. So it says Mark Fletchman, a former business partner, previously told THR that Fitzgerald's idea of living is parties. The idea of living is parties, so he created living spaces that are party spaces. Yeah, so he can make money. Like, it's actually a business for him, and I'm 1,000% sure he doesn't report like the income he makes from those parties. Yeah, so you get $1 million house. The profits of having parties there all the time. He even tells us. Now he might charge. I don't know how. I can't even answer what he reports and how. But I highly doubt things are on the up here. Okay, so some of like if Justin wanted to, how much was Justin paying a month? What was it like? I don't know. There were some numbers that were thrown out where I think like if I wanted to have a party, it could be like anywhere between 10 grand to 50 grand for one day, or whatever bullshit. But then you can rent out the whole thing there for I don't know, probably I don't know. I would have to go through the amounts again, but they're ridiculous amounts. So if you have $1 million house and you could charge that even just a day, uh, ridiculous. Okay. So then it says, and that's a business, and so they're letting them run these businesses out of their house, mostly these parties and raping women. But yet, does this make any sense? So government's like, we don't want, you can't do any like sex work or things like that, whatever, by schools. It's like, what? You're literally allowing these guys to do that, and trust there's probably a school close by. But they have these strict laws, okay? So if you're doing any sort of crazy stuff like this, they have these strict laws, and then you need like a business license, and it's very hard to get like any adult entertainment license thing, right? Because they're doing that. But they're running it out of their house. Like there's a whole thing around this where only men can really do this type of shit and profit. You can go on that old Corey Feldman story where the cops literally showed up while they were doing the same very thing, and the cops didn't do shit. He ran away though. He ran away because he knew he could get busted. They didn't do anything. Why would they? They're not gonna bust a guy raping some women or pimping them out. What is he doing? What was that story? So he had a party, he had these women here, and he wanted the women to meet the guy, using the women as a lure to bring guys in there to make Corey money. He was not paying them. That's what they're doing. Typical shit. Women should not be down with this. I'm just sitting here going, you guys don't even care? That happened to us too. So I mean, it's not a thing where it's like, oh, I would never do. Yeah, I would never fall into a situation like that. It's like, no, our boss like literally was forcing girls to be at these parties, different parties and that, but the parties, and then they would charge at the door like for all these people. So the boss is making all this money. The girls were not. It's like, hello, and then he'd tell them to go show up to go promote his place, right? They didn't pay them. Those lingerie party. Okay, so Fitzgerald said, yeah. So those lingerie parties were a way of attracting rich men to come to his house to look at buying them. So I don't exactly even believe his excuse for doing it, but I'm sure that is a way to get him to attract other like I shouldn't call the men victims, or not victims, but other men that he could prey on their wallet um into the picture, right? But the men are trash because they're totally down with abusing all these other girls. But Fitzgerald also got in early on the TikTok boom. I mean, the guy's like 100 years old. He's like, I'm gonna be down with all these kids. But he's like, and currently owns one of the largest and oldest content creator mansions, the Hype House LA, and his own social media presence consists largely of photos of himself with celebrities. Charlie Sheen. See Charlie Sheen. See Charlie Sheen does the drug. He, if he was honest about this, he probably could say a whole bunch of shit about this guy. So we know Charlie's background and what he does. So this guy kind of does in some way remind me of like a another version of Charlie Sheen, and probably a worse version of Charlie Sheen, if you can even imagine that. And Logan Paul. Well, Logan Paul we don't even talk about. So the surfing videos and tours of his various international properties through which he parades a bunch of women. Looks at Chrissy. She's getting a tan and pretty. Yeah, he's nasty. He keeps like taping all these young girls. And then because nobody knows who these other guys are, they're like a bunch of wannabe rappers, dude. This one other dude there was a bunch of girls over to Peter's house and they're taping it, and I found this video. It was like nobody even knows who the fuck these people are, that like has no views. And he's like at Peter's house, and he drives there and he goes in and he's like trying to hook it. I don't know, he's talking some crazy shit with these girls, and they're probably like, yeah, baby, we'll go down. I don't know, it was all stupid. And then I don't know what they did there. I don't know where Peter was, but the lawsuit claimed that underneath all the glitz and glamour lay a seedy trafficking ring. Fitzgerald, it claims, was a member of Nygard's network of trusted associates, with whom he allegedly swapped sex trafficking victims, according to a federal complaint. He allegedly attended the so-called pamper parties in which Nygard coerced victims into joining his circle, and multiple plaintiffs claim they were forced to have sex with Fitzgerald at Nygard's direction. In one instance, Nygard allegedly told a victim, "This is my best friend and you need to have sex with them," and watched as she did. Several of the plaintiffs, this is the part where I was like, yeah, several of the plaintiffs claim Fitzgerald independently trafficked them as part of his own network of girlfriends that he based on Nygard's ring. One woman claims the developer initially agreed to let her live with him with no strings attached, but soon demanding that she participate in threesomes with him and his girlfriend. She claimed she awoke multiple times to find Fitzgerald on top of her, raping her, and when she tried to leave, she claims Fitzgerald became enraged, calling her profane and racist. Um, I don't know, he's calling her racist names before violently holding her down and attempting to suffocate her with one other hand. She eventually escaped in the dead of the night, according to the suit. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, okay, well, how are people thinking about this? Because it's like these are guys that are all down with it. Like, there's literally no man that I know that would not be down with this. Let me tell you. I cannot tell you a guy that would sit there, if this was like laid out to him, it's like, you have the opportunity to do this, they'd be like, fuck yeah, there you go. So, why would it have to be, like, when they say network, I would agree with these words and terms, like, network of men, because it's just like, a bunch of rich guys, and maybe it's not all rich guys, because these damn little wannabe little rapper dudes are not little rich dudes. Like, they may be helping them get some money, but they're not rich dudes. So they're like getting them to come in and making these promises to like get them to be little famous little, YouTube stars or whatever bullshit, and then giving them access to these girls. Like, all the guys are guilty in this. Like, there's no, like, there could be a thing where the one story where I said that they may have used stem cells from their sperm thing, like that would be a victim story. But that's not, now I don't know what he's done, because he's totally down with the cult too, Fitzgerald. So maybe some of the comments, it's a hard call, because he has made comments where he's like, luckily I know Peter, because he's gonna, I don't know, that he's gonna live forever. And so that was the comment. So he's part of the cult. He was at the same party where Aubrey was. So, I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, maybe the negativity where we're taking down, not me, but where Aubrey's getting busted, where he really should be in prison, where he's getting fired, could be every one of these guys, right? But I looked at the ones that were posting. It was like these science guys, but how do I know that those science guys are not besties with Danny? Right? I didn't go that far into it. Jesus. They could be. It's just something to think about. So it says a second woman claims Fitzgerald convinced her to live with them under false promises of a job opportunity. She claims he soon began demanding sexual favors, and then when she would not provide them, demanded that she paid for other things like gas and lift tickets. One night while on vacation in Mexico, the victim says he violently sexually assaulted her, dislocating her shoulder, tearing her labrum, and caused several physical injuries to her back and breast tissue. Yeah, he seems like a total violent guy, and plus he's probably a total meth head too. And can you imagine the swings with this dude? Like, he doesn't like women, he literally hates them, and then, why not? You're just, whatever. The suit was first filed, November 2020, and the victim says Fitzgerald had harassed and intimidated them in the years since. In the preliminary injunction last week, U.S. District Court Judge Michael Fitzgerald, I was reading that going, what? Are they related? And then it's all noted that the developer had allegedly created a YouTube video about several of the plaintiffs. Now, I don't know where this is. That's why I'm like, where is it? Because I've been, like, looking at stuff. So, I didn't see it on his channel. He has, I think he has, like, 2 channels. Like, one's, like, about... One has 2 videos on it, and then, like, the other one's, like, has all his housing thing on it. And I saw no other videos. So, I'm totally lost on this. When I read that, I was like, where? Because I've been looking into all that. Unless it was put, I don't know. I'm continually trying to look for it. So it says, they called them in the video, right? Evil prostitute, a serious drug addict, and a devil worshiper. I'm like, these 3 things are ridiculous. So it's going to be a certain type of person posting that. Do we think Danny put that? I don't know. Like, is his personality to act like he's Jesus Christ, and then because you don't like him, you're now part of the devil? What is that? So this is, and claiming that their law, he doesn't seem like the Christian type. That's why I'm like, what? Who's saying this? So when I searched for it, I was talking about that girl. She used that term, evil prostitute, in like the drug thing and the devil worshipping stuff. So I was like, oh my god, and it literally showed me her right away, and I was like, I hope not. And claiming that their law firm paid them to lie, and he also allegedly made paper flyers, about one of the victims, accusing her of criminal activity, and passed them out around her neighborhood in Cabo. I don't know how they're saying that he did it. Like, he may have done it. I honestly got to see a whole bunch of women doing this shit. They're typically the ones that start doing this kind of crap. That kind of crap? I don't know, but he could be 12, acting like he's 12. Like, can you imagine doing this? I'm gonna go hand out some flyers. That seems like something a woman would do. And it could be one of his girls. Like, that's why it's like, I don't know. Like, they know it's like team them, though. It says he allegedly approached the family. Well, it says this. He allegedly approached the family of the same victim and warned them that she should be careful, that Mexico is a dangerous place. Yeah, he went up to them, just falls out, and was like, you should be careful. Yeah, so if you hear that, so you're like, more than likely he did it, or at least more than likely it's related to something that he dictated to have happen, right? So that's the shit that he did. But that's what I was looking for, though, because I don't know where it is. If you guys see anything like this, show me. I'm usually like the one that's finding all the obscure accounts. I don't know where that was posted. And it's probably taken down now because he got ordered. So it's all issuing the order on Thursday. The judge wrote that the developer's actions were particularly troublesome because his attacks are aimed at alleged sex trafficking survivors. I was like, this whole like fake morale from even the judge can just defendant public campaign to harass and disparage the reputations of. This is a typical thing that all is this. Wait, tell me which rapist has not done this in some form. It's just a total normal thing that women have always had to deal with, and you shouldn't have to go to court to make it stop. Like, it's just one of those things that shouldn't even be happening at all. Like, I'm gonna go hand out some flyers around town. I gotta have a bunch of people know that you're a criminal. I'm 70 years old. It's like, the court will not permit defendant to continue a public campaign to harass Jane Doe and reveal their identities to the general public. So, yeah, oh yeah, so he's outing all the victims, I guess, and she's a criminal, and I have to make up this shit so you guys don't believe any of them, and you only believe me. But he's the criminal. That's the funniest thing. He's the one that. Why is he saying drug addict when he's the one that's literally on video, like, talk about how he loves doing drugs? Like, there was some video of him talking, and he's a big time. He loves drugs. So I'm like, well, that's funny. I mean, maybe that's because you're a drug addict and you really need to go to rehab, because look at what you're doing. You're literally acting like a 2-year-old. Like, what is this? That's why I said I'm pretty. He seems like the drug dealer. I hope they talk about him supplying drugs and get him down. Get him for more stuff. Then it's all, a lawyer for Fitzgerald said he disagreed with the judge's decision and would be filing a motion for reconsideration this week. He claimed the victims had no evidence linking Fitzgerald to the YouTube video, and that the developer had nothing to do with the distribution of flyers and had never threatened anybody. Of course, the lawyer is going to say that, but I don't know about the YouTube video. That's what I'm saying. You guys got to show me, because it could be the same group of people for the other stuff. I'm not sure, but it also could be beyond people related to him, because it's probably more than likely somebody related to him. But or some other people that I was looking at, that I was thinking about, because the terminology that was used there. Yeah, I want to look into it, because if it's done in the same manner as the Peter's videos, then there's some other stuff going on here, and I know there's ladies doing that. And then so it goes, it's not as clean or as dastardly as plaintiff's counsel would like it to be. The attorney said, yeah, whatever, dude. So it's all, but the attorneys for the plaintiffs said they had plenty of evidence filed under seal and had already heard from additional plaintiffs looking to join the suit. The most important thing is that their voices are heard, the defendants take accountability, and that we as a society put a stop to the abuse of women and children at the hands of powerful people. Well, you need to give all women the same legal rights. It should be able to go and pursue them. That would be a start, which hasn't happened in the state of California. What else? Oh, so anyway, beyond all this right here, Peter's. I have to talk about this because I didn't even do a clip on it yet. You know how many places the Peter's has burned down? The one place out here burned down when I was by it in 2018, right? He has his own house in the Bahamas burnt down, right? Then he had allegedly burnt. I'm not going to say allegedly. They admitted, these guys actually admitted, saying that Peter paid them $10,000 each, or whatever it was, to go burn down his ex-girlfriend's business, her salon, right? So he pays people to do this. This is the thing that you have to know about him. So he'll get some desperate, like he gets these people that are like needing to work, right? And they're like not very, some of them ain't very bright. Like there's an interview with the one guy, he's not all there. But anyway, it's like, hey, I'm going to offer you 10 grand if you just go light that building on fire. Like there's going to be a shitload of people that would literally do that. They don't care. Like, what, just light it on fire? Yeah, okay. 10,000? For some people, mostly in the Bahamas, that was probably a lot of money. So, they go do it, right? And then they're just like, they lit some guy, I think it was a guy. Oh, they firebombed this guy's car. And again, Peter paid them 10,000 or something like that to go do that. All of a sudden there's this another fire close by, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I was like, like it was this whole thing. And I didn't know it was his building, right? So I talked about that. So come to find out, it was his building that they purchased through, and I'm probably gonna get this wrong, like used, he had somebody else purchase the company through another business, something of that nature. So on the surface, it didn't look like it was his property, right? But the minute that the FBI is like, oh, now we give a shit, we're gonna take that property. So they take that property and come to find out that was the building. And I was like, holy shit, what the hell's going on here? So then the other building is closest to me right now. That's another property that was under whatever bullshit, there. And then now, I was like, so just to get through all that, um, this other property, I'm like, I don't know anybody that's had this many buildings and things burning down, and oh my god, there's a whole backstory to this building too. I know CBC is like my favorite media source now. It's like I feel like I'm in Canada. Like they're the only ones that actually report anything. I'm like, thank you, CBC. Like our media just. So what happened was his warehouse went on fire. Now this warehouse, right? So he's had this warehouse. I don't know. He claimed for like 40. Well, when he got into custody, he was trying to keep this building because he was saying it was his second home. Like when he wasn't living in the Bahamas, he lived here. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? And that's a lie. But then he was saying within the past year and a half, I guess, or something. So for like a year and a half, he claimed this to be his home. So that would have been, he got like arrested. It was like, I don't know, what did I figure here, that it would be like 2019 or 18 that became his home. I'm like, oh, is that because you burned the other place out here in 2018? Like, I don't know, but so they were forcing it to be sold. See, I want to find the story because I don't want to say all the wrong stuff on this, because it's supposed to be CBAC. I can't find that story. He went through some bankruptcy. He was trying to keep his building and claiming that he'd lived there for a year and a half as his home, away from Bahamas only. And then, I don't know, it got denied. Like, he's not allowed to keep it, or what. I don't know, whatever happened. Anyway, it was supposed to be sold off. I don't know what happened there, but then all of a sudden, that building catches on fire. And I was like, see, I do not believe that these are all accidents. It's too much. It's too much. Dude, it's just literally too much. Like, I don't know anybody that has this many fires on their buildings. And he's mad, obviously, because he's like, that's my place. I want it. I've had it for 40 years. It's almost like, well, nobody else is going to have it then, assholes. Like, it's like that to me. And so I was going through the Google Maps on it. It was kind of amazing how it was to watch this transition of the building over, like, I don't know, 2 decades. However, it wasn't 2 decades. They went back as far as, I don't know, it was like '05, '07, somewhere around there. Anyway, it used to be his other brand name. Like, it had a whole different other brand name on the building. And it was really kind of generic, basic building. Like, he wasn't even going all flamboyant here yet, fully. And then all of a sudden, I was like, we all know how he destroys nature, because I was reading more on that Sean Connery thing where I was like, yeah, I don't think they were friends at some point, because they may have been friends prior. Like, they had photos together. They were neighbors. He may have went to parties. We don't know. There's a whole thing there that could have happened that's prior to this other event. So then that Save the Bays or whatever thing with the bacon thing and all that came around. He's like, I'm literally signing this with them to have them investigate whatever bullshit Peter's doing. I'm like, okay, right there, Peter will want to, like, light your house on fire. So I'm 100% certain at some point right there, they were no longer friends. I was like, so, but what happened prior to that, I don't know. Like, they have photos together, they had things together. The wife was trying to claim, like, they were never friends, which I don't believe that. I believe that they probably were, and then there was something where probably where he was just being he's being criminal. So he's doing all these things and added like I didn't even realize what the hell he did. They were showing the thing with the sand, but he was trying to explain that his version was something like, "Yeah, I'm putting the sand out here so the sand doesn't wash over." Like I don't know, some bullshit. But then the reality was like he kept building out and gave himself all this other new land. Like it was all this bullshit. And so yeah, they were like, we need to look into this whole thing because it's a little corrupt. Like how he could just like get all these permits. Like I don't know, there was a whole drama with that, which like I don't really care about the drama itself in that. But other than that, if you went against him, you are no longer a friend. That's just how Peter is. So you know, as we could tell from his personality type here. So yeah, I'm surprised nothing bad happened to Sean Connery because then it made the media, you know, like, oh, Sean signed it, and so then, yeah, so I don't know with that whole thing, but yeah, what was I gonna say about that? But the same fighting back and forth is going on with Danny too. You know, this whole mentality of just like fuck everybody, we're gonna do what we want, we have money. You know, it's just that mentality. I was like, I've always got along with my neighbors. And it's such a weird thing. I was like, I can't even imagine just like getting into some beefy battle like with my neighbors and shit. It's like, why? I mean, you have to live by them. Um, and like, I don't know, like they don't even care that they're harassing them. Both of them. We're just gonna do whatever the hell we want. Like, you have a problem with my noise over here? Fuck off. You know, like they're doing that whole thing. And yeah, they're sociopaths. That's just the whole thing with these two guys. Well, all of them, but specifically that we're talking about these two guys. I don't know what Aubrey's done. Like I can't imagine him like with his party music. He's probably sitting there going, "I gotta do my yoga. I'm gonna do it naked outside, so don't complain on me if you see me." I don't know. He's uh yeah. I don't know where that story is because they were literally talking about him wanting to keep the property. It's like, oh, well, now burn down. Oh, so yeah, so he pays like people, they gang members, um, homeless people maybe. I don't want to say homeless. I don't know if he's paid homeless people, but if you're looking at the stuff from the Bahamas, he's literally going after people that need jobs, right? They need money. They're in like a poor neighborhood in those areas. And those are the people that he's like, all right, I got a business proposition for you guys, you know? And then they're just like, see all this? And he's like, just do this. And they're like, okay. And then they go do it, right? It's totally fucked. So then you're looking at these cases here, and there's a lot of opportunities for that. Oh, looking on Google Maps. So, yeah, so then the building progressed into this other thing, and then he destroys nature. That's what it was. So he destroys nature. So, anyway, in this one section of the building, he's like, I'm going to just rip out all these trees now, just so you can see the big picture of my face. Like, I was like, what a narcissist. Like, this whole thing here. Anyway, so he did the building like that to where it all of a sudden looked like a strip club. Like, I don't know why, but it did. It started looking like a strip club. It was like these blue lights underneath the thing. And then the name of, like, he put Nygard something. And I was like, doesn't that sound like a strip club? Like, I would totally think it was a strip club if I was, like, driving by. And then I had this big picture of him all over the place. And he had to make sure, I was laughing so hard at it. Like, he had to make sure everybody knows that he's been there for like, or he's been whatever, his designing shit for 50 years. So he has to put 50 years like on every single window of the building. I was like every little panel, and then like it lit up, and then like he's running around like in this jacket, and it has 50 years on it. Like, just you'll pay attention, you'll start seeing it everywhere. He's like 50 years, like, so you know that's his brand promoting and bragging and whatever bullshit. And his building had a side building, like an outlet or something on the side. So that's a whole nother building on the same lot. And on this lot, he like had a bunch of flags, right? And it had the American flag in Canada. I was like, that's cool. So he had I don't know what the hell this was about. But anyway, he had the Canadian flag, he had the American flag, and then he had his own flag. Like he's part of he's a state on his own. So he put his own flag up there, and I was like, that is like so full of yourself. So anyway, then he takes that flag down. He takes the American flag down. He changes them out. I don't know, probably just some other. I don't know what the hell the other flag was. And then one time I think he had two American flags up. I was studying that whole thing. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So anyway, and then in the back part, I think is the areas from some earlier victim stories where they were saying like he went into the back part of the warehouse and raped some indigenous women because I guess there was some sex worker area right there. And then he had brought one of the other victims to the warehouse, and I was like, oh my god, these stories are coming together because I didn't realize that this was the warehouse. I'm pretty sure that's the warehouse, but maybe I could be wrong. But he's saying that that was his warehouse for 40 years. And so in their earlier story they said, oh, he promised to keep me in an executive suite or something, but it was just like his apartment in this like warehouse place or something. And if I have the story wrong, just correct me in the things below. But yeah, so she goes, and then he locked her in there, and then he did whatever, and then she finally escaped, right? And I was like, oh, this is the House of Horrors warehouse, the one that went up in flames. I go, maybe there was like a tank of evidence in there or something. I was like, what happened when they took him to in custody? Like he didn't get a chance to clean it out. So I don't know how. I don't know what happened there. Like maybe everybody helped him get all the stuff out of there, or was it just left there? I don't know what happened. Did the feds take it all? Like, I don't know. But then this happens. And you could tell, like, there were some gang members that were, like, putting their graffiti on the walls. And just up in the last couple of months. So they were putting graffiti on the building on the outside. And I was like, dude, I bet you this is a total setup to make it look, some random gang members did. You know what I mean? Homie that I, put on TikTok. A TikTok. Oh my god. And so I was like, some bullshit. Like some setup. Like, I don't believe it was any random thing. Like, why? You know what I mean? Why? We're just gonna start lighting up buildings on fire out here. Or easily blame, oh, some homeless person. It's like, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't believe none of it. I don't believe none of it. Because the chances of this, how did it happen here and then there? And then these stories prior. I don't. It's just too much. It's too much. It's not just like a one-time thing either. So it's too much, you guys. And the people that he gets to do it are the people that law enforcement constantly just go, oh, it's just homeless people. Wink, wink. Yeah, I'm not. No, no, I don't. So I think that's it on him for right now. I don't think there's any other news stories. So we should at least applaud Daily Beast for at least even talking about this fool, because literally no one knows who the hell he is. And other than maybe some Justin Bieber fans and some few TikTok people and people that want to be YouTube famous. I'm glad that the victims in the Danny thing is literally trying to explain. It's like, oh no, he's on his own, like trying to do his own circle. He's trying to model it out of his buddy. But I'm sure it's not just out of his buddy, because he's the one that modeled it off of Hef. So they're modeling it off each other. They're just like, oh, homie over here did that, so I want to do that too. I think that's cool. I'm going to do that. Didn't Corey Feldman do the same thing? And yes, he did. So it's just the universe that they're all okay with. Yeah, that's going to be it for now.